Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and today is part 2 of answering your political questions from my spirit guides. My spirit guides are going to answer your political questions. The energy is real weird today, so I'm just kind of hanging on by a thread. We're going to see what happens, okay? I'm going to dive right in. Crazy Shark 22 wants to know, do the spirit guides see Tim Scott winning the GOP primary? So here's the thing. So right now we have Trump, we have DeSantis, and we have Tim Scott. And if you're not familiar, Tim Scott is the only Black senator that's a Republican. So of course they're going to, trot him out just in case, that works. They're going to try everything. So no, I don't see him winning the GOP primary right now. We're really early, but I will say this. I feel like DeSantis goes down first. I've talked to you guys about this in the last video where he's got leg irons on and he tries to run and he falls down. And then, of course, 45 is going to point at him and say something, imbecile like, immature like, laugh at him, whatever. Meanwhile, Jack Smith is going to be putting the handcuffs on him. So just to jump ahead to another question, I do see Jack Smith going ahead and being first in line to take a swipe at 45. Now, you remember, if you're a longtime viewer, that we had the vision the guides kept talking about for months on end, which was Tish James, say Bragg, and Fani Willis, let's just say, and E. Jean Carroll. They're all lined up and they're all getting ready to nab Trump. Then from behind them, Jack Smith or Garland, whatever, however you want to say that, it's Jack Smith, but it will probably be officially Garland who levies the charges. But let's just say Jack Smith reaches over them, grabs Trump and says, no federal charges, Trump, state charges, he's mine first, right? That's what they've been saying for probably about a year. Here we are, finally. Don't you wish, like, sometimes in your life you could just push the fast forward? Remember the old cassette tapes? You just mash that button down, fast forward, and watch the little thing whir around, and then finally say, that's probably good enough. You never knew where you were. It's not like today, is it? This is kind of like what we've been through. We want to just fast forward through all this malarkey, but we can't. We have to live day by day, minute by minute, painstakingly through it. So here we are, as if we fast forwarded. We're finally coming up to the time when Jack Smith is going to do the thing. And I believe this is why Fani Willis was initially saying, looks like June to me. Remember, she even put that edict out to the Atlanta police force to be ready for people to not disclose their identity if they were plainclothes police officers, to be very careful, right? She put everybody on high alert, and then nothing happened. I think nothing happened because Jack Smith said, hey, Fani, girl, what's up, right? Here's what's up with me. I'm fixing to bring the boy down. I need you to cool your heels a little bit, right? You give me some space. Let me have some quiet time so that, again, like they said in part 1, we don't want to scare the fish. I need to catch all these fish. I need the net to be quiet. I need everything to be quiet. Lay off for a while. Pretend like you're not going to, charge anybody for quite a while. A month later, she comes out and says, no, looks like August, right? Like all of a sudden the whole summer is gone, right? That's because it gives Jack Smith time to get his ducks in a row, to get everything lined up, to get ready to pull that net up and catch all those fish and not scare them, not tip them off. Fani Willis is going to be one surprise after another. Truly, these people don't even know what's coming at them because she has the fake electors. The fake electors went state's witness, and they're not going to leak what's going on because their lives depend on people not knowing what's going on. So there's no leaks coming out of the Fani Willis camp. So these people just don't know what's about to hit them. And that is just the way Jack Smith wants it. He's going to collect up his people. And we said this before, he's going to collect up Trump. He's going to collect up all of Trump's inner circle. Who was that guy? Not Scaramucci, but the other, his communications director. He's going to be scooping up all those people, even Eastman, some attorneys. Yeah, he's going to be scooping up a lot of those people. I believe even Roger Stone, everybody. And it's interesting, right? That Pence and Barr stopped just short of that line of crossing that line of criminal, right? They walked right up to it. They put their little wingtip shoes right on the edge of it, but they weren't dumb enough to step over it. So they've become witnesses, right? They've already given their statements. They've already Pence spent what, 8 hours being deposed, right? So if Fani Willis went first, she would terrify, everybody would run, everybody would flip out. So why not let them have a little half of a summer of some normalcy while the trap is really being set? So I see Jack Smith pulling Trump first before Fani Willis, and I see him doing this quite possibly in June, to be honest with you. It seems sooner than later. It seems like this is May, right? May 24th. He wants to do it in June. He really wants the element of surprise. So if he is thinking June, he may do it on Memorial Day. You know, he may do it the last day of May, just for the element of surprise. If he's thinking June, he might do it July 4th, which would be kind of poetic justice in a sense. So I get the sense that this is a savvy man. He's putting energy out. He knows psychics can read his energy, and he knows that not all psychics are playing for the right team. So he's putting energy out as a decoy. That's part of the problem here. But I'm getting June from him. Now, he also has a lot of, cojones. I mean, he's got a lot of brass balls. And he also, part of him is like, I'll say June 14th, and I don't even care. Who knows, right? So I'm not sure which one of these Jack Smiths is the real Jack Smith, right? He's sending out a lot of different decoy energy. But I can tell you this, it's coming. If it's not in the next week and a half, it's before July, like 10th. So it's coming. And then what do we have? Fani Willis, boom, in August, right after that. And the hits just keep coming, right? The guides have talked about, this months ago, maybe even more. A lot of new subscribers here, so you guys might not know this, that two things the guides talked about: body punches. You don't knock him out, but you just punch him in the body and wear him down, right? There's this sense that they could just knock Trump out, but that's not going to be how it goes down. They're going to hit him with an indictment and an indictment and an indictment and an indictment. And then Bragg is going to get an indictment, and Fani Willis is going to get 5 indictments. It's just going to be constant, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just constant, right? So that's kind of what you have. Now, we did talk about this in the last video. There's also a school of thought, if you will, a community of the DOJ, that is also communicating with Biden, that is like, look, we don't want that. We want a knockout, because if you drag this on from June 1st to September 5th, then we're going to have mayhem. We're going to have months of mayhem. If we just knock him out and drag him off the stage and keep him quiet, people will forget about him, and they'll go back to their regular lives, and they'll just forget about it, right? But if you continue hitting him with one indictment, if you slow roll this, then you're going to have a building anger problem amongst the MAGA crazy people. So that's kind of also what's going on behind the scenes, right? You've got one section of the DOJ is wanting to just, for lack of a better description, beat the crap out of him. And the other part is like, no, let's KO this guy and let's get this over with. So there's a lot of different power struggles going on, and they each have their own reasons for wanting to do that. So that's kind of what's going on behind the scenes. So back to Crazy Shark's question, I answered like 5 other people's questions right in that one thing. But what happens is, what I see happening is Trump goes down, DeSantis goes down. I don't see Tim Scott having the longevity. This is early. This is not a real, hat in the ring kind of thing. This is a distraction. This is like the guy said in the last video, they're just testing the waters to see how the MAGA people really would react to having a black Republican president, right? I don't see Tim Scott being the eventual ticket, the eventual presidential ticket. The problem is we're going to have complete and utter mayhem when you have, and again, you guys try to walk through this with me. Imagine DeSantis going down. Imagine even Abbott, by the time we get around to, say, April of next year, potentially the Texas governor is in real hot water, if not down. The Florida governor is in hot water, if not down. 45 is down. They're down. There's no leadership anymore. Who is the Republican Party? Truly, if DeSantis and Trump are off of the stage, who is the Republican Party? Right? So one of the things that I'm going to read on today is Manchin. They're talking about running Manchin for president. And will he switch parties, right? Maybe he'll switch parties, and that's not going to work. The MAGAs don't want a refurbished Democrat. That's definitely a rhino. So that's not going to work. And so the problem is, and we talked about this, all of us psychics in this SUV, leaving, going to Sedona, we talked about this. So like, who can the Republican Party pull out and run for president? Well, if you ask me, at this very early date, I would say, and okay, so I have to back up and explain it to you because you're not going to get it. You and I are in the energy of 45 MAGA mania. It's very hard for us to put ourselves in the energy of, there is no 45, there is no DeSantis. Many of those Republicans have been indicted, the Gateses and the Jordans, and all these people, a lot of these people have been indicted. I mean, I kind of see them handing out indictments like candy on Halloween. So I'm not saying they're all going to get convicted, but I'm saying they're all going to get indicted. So now you have mayhem among the Republican Party. Does the Republican Party choose one of these indicted people, or do they go for a safe bet? And then you're going to have the infighting of the MAGAs against the other parties. I didn't know this until this morning when I was driving. I heard NPR talk about the Republican Party. They have it broken down by families, and they call it the 5 families. I mean, isn't that like mob-like to you, the 5 families? Really? So one family is the conservative, one family is the moderate, one family is the MAGA. They each have their own identity. I did not know this about the Republican Party. I always saw them as coming together in a lockstep formation, right? Because they don't truck any rhinos, right? They're quick to label you and push you out of power if you don't walk in lockstep with the rest of them. So it was news to me that there's all these families. So now, if you'll put yourself in a position of, let's say, next April, when 5 or 10 of these representatives and a few senators, and maybe even some Supreme Court justices, and Trump is gone and DeSantis is gone, and it's mayhem, and there's no leadership, right? Well, of course, we have people like MTG, who doesn't care if she, look at Santos. They don't care if they're indicted. In Texas, our attorney general, our top attorney, has federal indictments against him from like 2015. This guy has managed to stay in office. They just tried to deliver another subpoena to him, and that wimp went into his house, went in the back, ran to the car from the driveway with his wife like blocking, got in the car and drove off so that he couldn't get the subpoena. I mean, these are Republicans, right? This is ridiculous. So we know that if MTG is indicted, we know she's not going to just be like, oh, I guess I'll step down. We know that ain't going to happen. So we can pretty much guess that if the bomb is blown up in the middle of the Republican Party and there's complete confusion, we know that one of those people is going to pick it up and run with it. They're going to say, I'll be the presidential candidate. So now you have to understand, this is why we're going to win in 24. To be honest with you, imagine MTG being their presidential candidate. Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's bring on Lauren Boebert. Come on, let's do it. Let's give us your best. You know, they tried to get a black presidential candidate. That probably ain't going to fly. Now they're going to go to a woman presidential candidate. It's not going to fly. It's just not. It's just chaos. The reason we're having a hard time telling you who's going to be the Republican candidate is because it's chaos. When we go into the energy, it's chaos. Their best bet is to run Pence and Cheney. That's their best bet. If they really want to show up and be like a normal party, Pence and Cheney would be their best bet. But this party is literally falling apart at the seams. I mean, it's disheveled. It's broken. It's broken. The spirit guides have been telling you guys that Liz Cheney would either blow up the Republican Party and create her own party, or blow up the Republican Party and take it over. They told you that 2 years ago. And here we are. And she's doing everything she can to blow it up because she wants control of that party. She is not our friend. I've told you that a lot of times. The spirit guides say two words. I say Liz Cheney. They say formidable opponent. Formidable opponent. She's not moderate. She voted over 90% with Trump. Is she a patriot? Well, wouldn't you and I have done the same thing? Wouldn't any American citizen who really considers themselves an American citizen have done the right thing? So she did the right thing. I don't think she's a patriot. I think she did the right thing. She happens to be a Republican, and that makes it honorable. All of a sudden, that makes it amazing. That makes it, she's a blue star winner. Why aren't all those Democrats blue star winners? They did the same thing. So we tend to give heroes awards to Republicans that act like normal people. But they don't deserve that. They don't deserve it any more than any of those other Democrats that did the same thing in their same shoes that she was wearing. So that's what I have to say about it. It's going to be chaos, mayhem. I know you can't see it from now because it hasn't all started happening. But once it starts happening, you will see it. It will be chaos. Democrats will waltz in and continue our good work. Okay. So that answered Becca Lynn's question, which was the next question. And Karen Ettinger, it was so good to meet you in Sedona, Karen. Thank you so much. Let's see. So she says, will Trump have to pay a price for selling pardons? And will those who bought them have any culpability? Well, yeah, he's going to pay a price because that's going to be like number 2 or 3 of the convictions of the indictments. And I'm going to use allegedly here, and I'm going to use for entertainment purposes only. But yes, he's going to pay a price for this. This is, we talked about this in the last video. Every time Smith goes, oh, I've got the perfect evidence, right? This is it. I've got it. Then here's some more evidence. Oh, wait, here's some more evidence. Remember, in the guide said they had to rent extra storage space for all the evidence, right? So yes, he's going to be paying a price for selling those pardons. And I think the best thing that I can say about that too is that these things that Trump has done, not only is he going to pay a price personally for it, but we Americans and our representatives and our senators are going to use this as a roadmap to make sure that this type of power isn't abused ever again by a president. And I know that feels like I just said a bunch of, like rainbows and, butterflies and unicorns. It is really going to happen. It really, truly is going to happen. We need a few years, but it's going to happen. So that's good too. Not only am I happy that Trump's going to pay a price, but I'm happy that we now have a blueprint for what a rogue president might do. And now we can actually address these issues and fix any loopholes or amend the Constitution. We are going to have a majority in 24. We may have a supermajority, but we are definitely going to have a majority. And we're going to be able to ride roughshod right over the Republicans and get this stuff done. If they don't want to save democracy, well, then Democrats will do it on their own. Your next question is, will those who bought them have culpability? Yes, they will have culpability. There's some criminal angle to that buying of a presidential pardon. It's they might try to get them on RICO charges. I don't know. I don't understand what the guides are saying, but there is culpability. There's criminal culpability here. I can't get that word they're saying. It's I don't know, but it's criminal. So yes, they're going to get theirs. And those pardons might be found to be illegitimate, or they may strike them, right? The other thing you guys have to understand is we're going to have some changes on our Supreme Court, which is going to give us the latitude to actually do these things without worrying about the Supreme Court batting it down. So all this needs to happen sort of the beginning of next year. I mean, the charges are going to be dropping now and dropping and indictments and investigations and headlines. It's going to be a busy summer. But as far as like some of these final changes, I feel like it's going to start late fall, late December, and go into early spring. So by the time we get to mid-24, we're actually going to be starting to do some nice legislation. Even though a presidential election is coming, I'm saying that the Democrats and Republicans are going to be in a more bipartisanship mood. And then once we get the House and the Senate and the presidency in 24, well, then we're also going to have some new SCOTUSs, some new Supreme Court members. And so we're going to be able to get this stuff done. And we really, really will get it done. And right now they just showed me a picture of guns and gun safety laws, really good gun laws as well. Okay, thank you for your question. Ingrid Navarro Rodan says, will the new Dems tactics in Congress, questioning and fact-checking all the lies they constantly say, meaning the Republicans constantly say, have a positive outcome on the long run? Yes, absolutely, Ingrid. I mean, this is called the Democrats growing a pair, right? It's all about the messaging. It's all about the storyline. And so far, the Republicans have been the ones that go out and have the narrative. And the Democrats have just been mute. So yeah, the Democrats are starting to fight back. Biden is starting to fight back. They're starting to call a spade a spade. And that's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. As these indictments start coming down, you're going to see Democrats really step into their power and say what it is. It is what, like, I think I just saw, it's either Adam Schiff or Swalwell, maybe both of them, say it is what it is. The Democrats want to save Social Security. The Republicans want to take it from you. And we need to say that over and over and over again. Every time somebody's in front of a microphone, they need to say that message. You know what I mean? They just need to repeat the message and repeat the message and repeat the message. So yes, this is going to help. It really is going to help us. And it's far overdue, if you ask me. Teresa Ursley said, are there more Trumpers who have quietly converted to Biden than we know because they're staying under the radar? Yes, you can't be out and be even a moderate Republican, right? I mean, they've clearly made no space for those people, and to their own fault, to their own demise, because they're making everybody sign this allegiance to the MAGAs. And I just said there's 5 families in the Republican Party. They're not all MAGAs, and they've been convinced that their base is all MAGAs, and that's not true. And they're about to find out. I mean, if they were really thinking clearly, they would see that everything Trump touches dies. That he keeps losing them election after election after election. But they keep signing on to him. Now I know. Well, I said I know. I mean, that came out of my mouth. That the reason that these Republican politicians are supporting Trump is because he has dirt on them, and he said as much publicly, and we've seen it. We've seen Lindsey Graham come out against Trump, and then 24 hours later, say his undying support and love for the man. We've seen so many. We've seen McConnell do it. We've seen them all do it. We've seen them all come out against Trump, and 24 hours later, completely sing a different tune. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a psychic to figure out why that is. What else would make you completely change your tune, except for that you got an email with a bunch of photos in it that show you doing something that you'd rather not go to jail for? A little reminder, shall we say, right? And the guys have been saying this for 3 years. So this is why the Republicans are being held hostage by this guy. Now, it doesn't help that the MAGA supporters, the citizens, if you call them that, the traitors of America, that they are loud. They're really, really loud, and they're kind of violent. And they also are willing to go bankrupt over supporting this guy, right? They're willing literally to go bankrupt to support him. So those two power quotients are what's causing this. And honestly, we should send them thank you cards, because they keep losing elections, and they're going to lose in 24 because of this. And not only that, it's like a bowling ball. They're showing me a strike when you're bowling. Trump is the ball. He's going to take them all down for us. Because when he goes down, he's going to grab DeSantis. He's going to grab McConnell. He's going to grab probably at least one Supreme Court justice. He's going to grab Lindsey Graham. He's going to grab as many of them as he can. Because what is he going to do? He's going to go in. He's going to say, all right, okay. Look, let's get down to brass tacks here. What do you want? He's going to say to Jack Smith, what do you want? Quid pro quo. Let's make a deal. Who do you want? You want Thomas? I'll give you Thomas. You want McConnell? I got stuff on McConnell. Let me see over here. In this pocket, I got something on DeSantis, and over here, I got something on Putin, and over here, I got something on that crazy rocket man. He's going to try to make a deal, and he's in the meantime going to incriminate himself 5 times more and supply all the evidence to incriminate all those other people. Now, either the evidence he supplies is going to corroborate whatever Jack Smith has. He's going to be like, yeah, that matches up quite nicely. Thank you so much. Or he's going to say, oh, I didn't have this one. Thank you so much, right? Either way, it's a win-win. Trump is the bowling ball. He's going to strike. He's going to take all of them down with him. He really is. Just give us a little more time. This is all of us are saying the same thing, and we don't talk to each other. It was the first time I've even met Linda G in person, or Jen Lynn, or Mel, or Kim of Intuitive View, or Debbie Freebird. We don't talk. We don't compare notes, but we did in that car, and we were all dead on each other. We all had exactly the same hits. So I feel good about it. I could go to Vegas right now and take out some odds on Trump. I really could. I could make some money, right? So this is kind of what I see. I do think that there are a lot of Trumpers who are going to vote for anybody. Now, those Trumpers would vote for Pence, Cheney, but I don't know if the Republican Party is going to get its act together to put a ticket together like that. I think they'll probably have MTG with McCarthy as the vice president. And there's no hope for that, you guys. There's no hope for that. None. Don't worry about it. It's comedy. It's comedy. So those Trumpers are then going to vote for Biden. Absolutely. I'm not worried about 24. I'm a little worried about 26 and 28. Not worried about 24. Okay, let's move on. Sherry Brassert-Cressall, will the Boebert divorce be the catalyst to take her down? Okay, so there was a little typo there. Her ex-husband, Jason, you want to know, well, he spilled the tea, leading her to be held accountable for her alleged involvement in J6 and other crimes, transgressions, and hypocrisy she is already allegedly guilty of. I think Jason knows some things, but I think Jason is an accessory. I think if Jason goes in there and says, I got the goods, then he's an accessory. And Jason might be an accessory anyway. I think Jason's attorney is saying, you need to lawyer up and you need to shut up. And you don't need to say nothing about nobody. You need to see what they have on you, what they have on her before you defend yourself, right? It goes back to the very beginning of the video, right? Where Jack Smith was saying, let's let them all wonder whether or not they're guilty or whether or not we've got them to rights. Let's let them wonder. We don't want them to know, because if Jason is not smart and he goes in and says, hey, I got some stuff on my ex-wife, he's going to walk right into the trap himself, because he's going to be guilty by accessory. They're not going to let him go. I promise you. So I don't think he's that dumb. I think he has a better attorney than that. Who knows? But Boebert is going to go down because right now they're telling me the FBI and the CIA, ATF, some other agencies that have acronyms like the NSA, they have plenty to take her down. Again, what they're doing right now is the guides, they're going back to this net analogy. You can go back at least a year ago, and the guides talked about there being a net on the ocean floor, right? They talked about that. And they said it's the trap, the net on the ocean floor, and these fish, Boebert, Trump, DeSantis, Abbott, all of them are swimming over the net, because the net is where all the criming is taking place. So what they told me about a year ago was that when the DOJ, be it Garland or Smith, tried to raise the net up, it was too heavy. It was too freaking heavy. It was full of too many fish. It was too heavy to pull up. That's why it's taken them and all this extra time to get this sorted out. They couldn't just haul them all in for questioning or for indictments. There's too many, way too many. We've already told you guys they had to get a whole nother storage facility to put all the evidence in. So Boebert is going down. I think Jason's gonna go down with her. I mean, they keep saying the word accessory. He was an accessory to crimes. So it doesn't take much to be an accessory. All you have to do is know that it was happening and not have done anything about it. So if they may be saying, well, weren't you in the living room? Yeah. Well, wasn't she in the kitchen? Yeah. Isn't it an open concept? Yeah. Okay, well, you're an accessory when she was talking on the phone. I mean, it doesn't take much, truly. And then once they get him for accessory, when they charge him, they indict him, then he may flip. Then he may help them with her but he's going to go down first. They're going to, I'm telling you, these people are brutal. So they're going to ground him into the ground where he's crying for his mama. And then they might say, now maybe we'll listen to what you got, and maybe you'll get 1 or 2 days taken off your prison sentence, or maybe you won't. We don't know. And that right there felt like Fonnie Willis to me, but could be Jack Smith. He was in the Hague, you know. He's a very strong judicial figure. Okay, thank you for your question, Sherry. Jordan Hunter, how are you? Says, has Merrick Garland's execution of the duties as head of the DOJ been compromised by an association with a shadow organization like the Federalist Society or the Freemasons? So you have a if so question. I'm going to start with that. Has Merrick Garland's execution of his duties of the head of the DOJ been compromised by any other organization or association? I mean, no. The answer is no. But there's a caveat. Because when you say, has his duties been compromised? Well, would you consider compromise being if he considered it? Right? Like, so you're considering, so when you go into Garland's energy, and this is why he brought in Jack Smith, because he started following that thread and it started going to big places, right? Like maybe places like Crow, or places like the Federalist Society, or the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, you know, maybe it went all over the place to big power centers. And the guys have said this before, he didn't know when to cut it off. Like, where do you say, I'm only going to look at this? You know, the Jan 6 committee were like, we're just going to laser focus on Trump. We're not going to follow whatever Trump was attached to. We're not going to follow that. We're just going to go to Trump. Well, the DOJ, they're kind of bound by law to follow, you know, the breadcrumbs to wherever they go. And then he runs into trouble, right? Like, does he out? Does he expose these dark money people, right? Does he expose Putin? What does that mean for our own country? What does that mean for us as far as do we count that as an act of war, right? I mean, where are the lines? Where are my guardrails? Well, there's none, because we've never been here before. And Garland doesn't like that. Law is his guardrails. This has gotten so big and out of control, there's no guardrails anymore. Right? So yeah, I think it's compromised him in the sense that he's been overwhelmed by it and he didn't know how far to take it. Right? I mean, think about it. What if he found out that 2 ex-presidents or 3 ex-presidents were on the take? What would he do? Right? I mean, think about, I know some of you guys are like, we arrest everybody. Well, that's going to throw our entire country into a constitutional crisis, into a civil war. It's going to look like we're just arresting every Republican anywhere, even though they probably are really guilty. But so you see what I mean? So that way he is compromised because he's trying to look at the optics. So that's why he brought in Jack Smith. I don't think that the Federalist Society has bought him. I don't think the Freemasons have bought him. I don't think he's on the dole. I don't think he's corrupt in that way. But I think he is considering things that he probably shouldn't. He should probably just stick with the law and say, you're guilty, or I'm indicting you and we'll let the court settle it out, right? That's where he's really conflicted. Your second question is, so is he trying to circumvent the damage of his association and make it right? Yeah, so I think I answered your second question too, Jordan. That's what I get. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, who knows? That's what I'm getting right now. So the last question is Music Waves. Music Waves says, will Florida next governor be blue? Will we be able to reverse the ultra-right turn in Florida, even South Florida, which used to be bluer? will the next governor be able to reverse the bad bills signed by DeSantis? So that's kind of like what we were just talking about, what I literally was just talking about. It's like they've gotten in the habit of answering the next question. Yeah, I think Florida, the way I look at it, Florida's energy is worse than Texas's energy, which is saying something, to be honest with you. But that also means they're closer to hitting bottom. They're closer to just having to deal with this, right? So I think they will deal with it. And I do think that the people of Florida are easygoing and laid back. And I just think that the majority of them are not MAGAs. I really don't think the majority of them are super crazy conservative. And I think Floridians are really on the front lines of climate change. And they're going to need help. I mean, they're going to have to accept that they're in big trouble as far as climate change goes. So I see a lot of Floridians turning into environmentalists, and I see a lot of Floridians turning into blue, into Democrats. So I think Florida is kind of a lot more blue than people think it is. So yes, I do think the next governor, that's a really good question about the next governor, because I see DeSantis going out. I don't see him serving his the rest of his governor time. Timing is impossible. I cannot tell you exactly when those leg irons are going to get slapped on him. But the next governor be blue. Right now, I'm hearing a yes. Well, they tried to run Christ. That wasn't a bright idea. There's more strategic, there's more strategy. Thank God. The Democrats are finally woke up, like Rip Van Winkle Democrats. Hello, wake up. They finally woke up and thought, we've got to find charismatic, honest, no skeletons in the closet Democrats to run in these states. We've got to start working harder to support them. And the problem is with Texas, and it's probably the same with Florida, is it becomes this little, fiefdom where, it's not who has the best ability to run. It's I've been here longer. I've been working longer. I deserve the nomination. It's that BS. It's like, you've been working here all this time and you haven't secured a nomination, and you need to go sit down. You need to sit your butt down. You didn't win. Sit down. We're going to bring somebody new in. I really feel like that's the energy with Florida is we got to do something. The clock is ticking. We're sinking. The alligators are going to eat us. We got to get this stuff together. So I really feel like they're going to find somebody. I feel like it could be a Hispanic person, a Mexican person, a Latino, somebody. I don't know if it would be Cuban, but it's somebody else that's not white, that could be really charismatic and steps forward to lead Florida. But it's all about timing. So if they show their face right now, DeSantis will, he'll set them up. Some of this stuff is just dirty tricks. So we don't want to, it's all about timing. We need to make sure that this person can launch safely. So, and then how do you keep them in the game? And how do you keep them, you know what I mean? It's a complicated thing. But yeah, I do think Florida will go blue. I think I think overall, it could really be a light purple already, to be honest with you. These MAGAs just have really big, they have megaphones. They're much bigger than they say than they really are. It's just like the Republicans in office don't have the actual votes that the Democrats have. They got in office through gerrymandering. They got in office with much less votes. They don't represent the majority of nothing. They don't have the backing of the people, right? So it's same thing with these MAGAs. Okay, I hope this has been entertaining, helpful, not too scary. I don't know, parts of it were a little scary. Woo! We're going to make it, guys. We're going to make it. Even the schools are going to make it. We're all going to make it. It's just that it's not going to be perfect. You know, we've been drugged to the bottom of the well, and it's going to take us a long time to get out of it. It's going to take us a long time to get out of that tunnel, out of that well. But every movement towards the light is worth it. Every movement towards the light is worth celebrating. Instead of looking down and saying we're still in the well, we need to be looking up and saying, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Try to stay positive. That positivity is everything. It's going to improve your health. It's going to improve your sleep. It's going to improve your life. It's going to make you be able to get guidance from spirit guides easier because your vibration will be higher. So try as much as you can to be positive. I've done it. The negativity doesn't work. Worrying and being cynical doesn't work. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't fix anything. If it did, we would have worried Trump right out of office. Didn't work. So let's flip the script. Let's try being positive and see if that has any bearing on our lives. Okay. Take really good care. If you have watched this video to the end, you get gold stars and ice cream. Help yourself to some ice cream and cookies, and give your dog and cat a treat too. Okay. Take really good care. We'll see you again right here on this channel. For entertainment purposes only.